Welcome to No Boy TV. Let's get it.
We begin tonight with a deep dive into what Donald Trump and his sycophants have planned for the Department of Justice under Project 2025 and how they would use the DOJ to attack American citizens. The 28-page section of the project's manifesto covering the Department of Justice and the FBI is a nightmarish play-by-play on how to turn the DOJ into the Office of Vengeance. But first, you should understand who's behind this horror show. This section was written by someone named Gene Hamilton, who is one of the roughly 30 former senior Trump administration officials who authored Project.
I feel so bad for people that watch this and believe this propaganda. It's so sad. You're not watching regular news anymore. You're watching propaganda. These news networks, these liberal media networks, they're telling you what you want to hear. And I feel bad that a lot of black people, especially older black people, watch this stuff and take it for the word. Take it as the truth. They can't discern the information, go do their own research, and come back and understand it or refute it. Let's go.
Project 2025. Hamilton is currently the legal director of America First Legal, the legal wing of the MAGA movement run by hair in a can aficionado and former Trump senior advisor Stephen Miller, the guy behind migrant family separation and the Muslim ban.
And what's up with her and this hair? She took the blonde wig off. Now she got her bald head, and she made the little bit of hair she got on her head blonde. But you hate the white man so much.
According to Hamilton and the folks at the Heritage Foundation, the Department of Justice would no longer be independent in a second Trump administration. On page 559, Hamilton writes, while the supervision of litigation is a DOJ responsibility, the department falls under the direct supervision and control of the President of the United States as a component of the executive branch. Thus, and putting aside criminal prosecutions that can warrant different treatment, litigation decisions must be made consistent with the president's agenda. So just to be clear, a man who was found liable for sexual abuse, a man who tried to steal the 2020 election through a violent coup, a man who stole classified documents and shared our secrets to random supporters, a man who has repeatedly extolled the virtues of vengeance, would now direct litigation priorities at the Department of Justice. Now, let's say a bunch of future DOJ officials chose to object to a President Trump ordering the assassination of a political opponent and threaten a mass resignation. Well, Project 2025 has a plan for that, too. They say, quote, the department's leadership is prepared to impose appropriate disciplinary action as circumstances arise. Those are the big ticket items, but there are the other very specific things they have in store for us all, like deciding what investigations the FBI can conduct, how to use federal laws to prosecute state and local crimes.
What's wrong with that? Why shouldn't we investigate the FBI? There should be checks and balances, just like each branch of government has a check and balance. Otherwise, the department would just run rampant. That makes sense to me.
Superseding state officials, recommending initiating legal action against local district attorneys who disagree with Trump's criminalization policies.
This ain't got nothing to do with no Trump criminalization policy, man. This got to do with corrupt politicians on every level, whether it's the city, the county, the state, and the country. Everybody need to be checked. Otherwise, again, stuff will just run rampant like it is right now.
Vigorously restricting voting access, ending consent decrees, enforcing the national abortion ban that's already on the books, and ending affirmative action discrimination, which is a cute way of demonizing civil rights.
No, they
and guess what? The FBI will become Trump's own personalized armed enforcement service. According to Project 2025, the FBI is not independent and does not deserve to be treated as if it were. Now, you might doubt that they really want to do this, or that even if they do it, that you'll be safe. Well, that is where you are entirely wrong. Trump already tried to prosecute Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, and James Comey, but his previous White House counsel advised against it.
And they didn't try to do the same thing to Trump. They trying to put this man in jail over 30 indictments and all this crazy stuff going on. But Joe Biden takes showers with his daughter.
Department of Justice career officials failed to find a crime. And let's not forget, his DOJ literally locked up Michael Cohen for cooperating in the investigation of Trump and writing a book that he didn't like. Imagine what they could do with a department full of people who have literally chanted, "Lock her up." There would be targets on the backs of people like Congresswoman Liz Cheney, Congressman Benny Thompson, and any other member of the January 6th committee. Just this morning, Trump accused Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi of failing to do her job in protecting the Capitol from his supporters on January 6th. He said it was criminal.
It was criminal because she had the power. Nancy Pelosi was the Speaker of the House. She was the leader of the Speaker of the House at the time, and she has power over the Secret Service. She can bring in the National Guard. Trump told her to bring the National Guard out, and she decided not to, i.e., January 6th. So she wanted that to happen. Duh. It's just crazy.
Yesterday, in a lie-filled screed, Trump called for the prosecution of, quote, election fraudsters, including Mark Zuckerberg, stating that they will be sent to prison for long periods of time. And what does that mean for you? Well, you won't have access to abortion. Police will have free reign to beat up and even kill people without consequences.
The states got access over abortion. If you want an abortion, you can get an abortion. They making it sound like abortion is completely outlawed. That's a lie. This is the mainstream news. Like, what are we doing here? I feel so bad. It's just so sad people watch this. Let's go.
Could be prosecuted for minor drug possession, and they'll be enforcing the death penalty aggressively. Godspeed if you're a migrant, because they have detailed plans for you, which include national raids and prison camps.
As a black person in the United States, you should want illegal immigration to be illegal. You know why? Because you're going to be the first group of people that get wiped out by these immigrants. They're not immigrants, they're illegal immigrants. Let's be specific on that. And that's a fact.
Joining me now is Melissa Murray, NYU law professor, MSNBC legal analyst, and co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast, and Ruth Ben-Ghiat, New York University professor of history and author of Strongmen, Mussolini to the Present. Thank you both for being here. Melissa, anything I missed in there, and anything else we should be concerned about for the average American with that kind of DOJ?
That was a really comprehensive list, and it really does cover most of the 900 pages of Project 2025, which is essentially the authoritarian's playbook. One point that I do want to mention here, though, is that the Supreme Court's decision on presidential immunity, which was announced just a week ago, has really given a major assist to Project 2025. One of the things that decision made very clear is that when the president is communicating with the DOJ or issuing orders through the DOJ, because the DOJ is viewed as an extension of the executive, of the president, those actions are immunized. Project 2025 ramps this up, puts it on steroids, makes it impossible, essentially, to prosecute the president or indeed anyone working through the DOJ for those acts, because they are official acts within the perimeter of those official duties. It takes the unitary executive theory and really amps it up and makes the president essentially a king. So the court has laid a foundation to make Project 2025 not just palpable, but indeed something that will last and be lasting throughout our history of Donald Trump as president.
And
this is a number one form of what you call fear mongering. They want to make you scared. A president can't be a king. We're a democratic republic, meaning we vote. The people are actually in control of the government, even though it don't seem that way right now. The people vote for who they want to be in power. Those people, though, the people that vote for those people have their have those the people that voted for them. They have their interests. So, in other words, you voting for your own interests. A president can't be a president for over 8 years. It's only happened one time. I forget who the president was, but we're not Russia. We're not China. We're not Korea. We don't. This is not communist, and we're not no democracy. We're not a pure democracy. I'll say. So all this crap they talking about people being kings is it's a bunch of bullshit.
Ruth, and how would we be any different from, say, Russia or China or any other authoritarian country?
I just said that.
Not much, and that
Oh my
the
God.
you know the very
These are professors. See, this is the whole problem. These are professors teaching students at on a graduate level, a doctoral. This lady got all these books behind her and don't know shit.
definition of authoritarianism is when the executive branch overwhelms or politicizes or hinders from being independent the judiciary, the other branches of government, and so it but it's what's interesting is all the parts of Project 2025 work together because you also have to have a compliant civil service because fascists and authoritarians, they have to destroy to create. So they're going to take apart the DOJ as an independent body and make it into something else. That something is a body that will protect the president and his cronies from investigations, from prosecution. But it's not enough for the president to have immunity. You have to have a compliant civil service. So there we have the presidential, the training academy that's going to create what they call an army. They use that word of vetted conservatives to go to work on day one. And so all of these things have to come together. And when you have a politicized civil service, and in the Nazi context, Hannah Arendt called these people the desk killers, the people who signed the orders to harass and repress people. And of course, later, in the German context, to do the Holocaust. But all these things must come into play. And the last thing that you must do is turn the public against the press, against journalists, so that any claims they make about prosecution, things that might be worthy of prosecution, are no longer believed by the public. And Donald.
See, this is what you need to understand. These are the real Nazis. MSNBC, MSDNC, CNN. This is the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. They're not telling you what it is. They're telling you what you want to hear. They're telling you what they want you to hear. And people can't discern the difference. This is why MSC, like, who watches this? Old people that don't know nothing, people that don't do research, young people that's ill-informed. All the information is on the internet. Like, it's so easy. Like, why can't you go do your own research? Just a quick Google search. I wouldn't even trust Google, but I mean, you can still use Google to find relevant information. Go read the document for yourself and tell me what it is.
Trump has already been able to do that.
Yeah, and then maybe just start arresting members of the press. Let me play something that is, in a way, sort of funny and absurd, but actually deadly serious in another way. This is Stephen Miller's America First Legal organization. This is one of their advertisements.
Advertisements.
I'm here today with an urgent message. America's biggest corporations and universities are illegally discriminating against Americans based on race and sex. These corporations and universities have adopted so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that punish Americans for being white, Asian, or male. If you...
What is this white brother talking about? Is he lying? No, he's not lying. That's what DEI is: diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, he's not lying. And they're discriminating against certain groups of people, whether it's men, Asians, whites. Let's be honest here. You might not like it, you might not want to hear it, but it's what it is.
You or a loved one were denied a job, raise, promotion, or professional opportunity as a result of diversity quotas, equity mandates, affirmative action, or other racial preferences, we want to hear from you.
This is what you call reverse racism or just racism. That's what it is. The blacks is, and I'm all for women and inclusion. I am for that. But if you're not qualified, or if this person is better than you at the job, that person needs to get the job.
Melissa, it's sort of one part ambulance chaser ad and one part NAAWP legal defense fund, right? But what he's doing there is what the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department would change it to, right? A place where the whole mission would be to defend white privilege.
No, that's exactly right, Joy. I mean, obviously, enforcement priorities shift from administration to administration. And we've seen, for example, under Republican administrations, there's been less enforcement of voting rights, for example, or less prosecution of voting rights claims. But Project 2025
Man, look, these people are sick. These people are satanic. They're evil.
Explicitly says that the Office of Civil Rights within the Department of Justice and the Office of Civil Rights within the Department of Education will be dedicated to dealing with what they call reverse discrimination. So DEI measures in corporate America and in public institutions and in universities.
Didn't old boy just say that? Didn't old boy just say the exact things he just said?
Colleges. Basically, the real racism to be fought is the racism and the racial injuries that are endured by white men, principally, and those who are outside of what they view as the affirmative action spectrum.
Yeah.
Any racism. I don't care if it's white, black, white, Chinese, Mexican. It don't matter. Discrimination is discrimination. Nobody should be discriminated against. If you qualify for the job, you should get the job. Personally, I want the best. If I got a business, I want the best people that's going to make me the most money, the most profit. I don't care about your color. I don't care about your race. I don't care if you're a woman. I want the best people for the job.
And let's go on to the sort of apologists for this. People who are sort of trying, Ruth, to make this sound like it's not that big of a deal. So Bloomberg is reporting that the CEO of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, has said regarding the presidential election, asked about the upcoming presidential election, he said it mattered less to him which party wins as long as the next president was friendly to business. We just need an opportunity for deregulation.
I agree. That I agree. Wholesale. I don't care if I got a bunch of Mexicans, a bunch of blacks, a bunch of whites. If I got an all-white team, all Asian, Korean, whoever gonna do the best job, give me the highest quality of product, that's who I want working the job. I'm sorry.
He said, so companies can consolidate and do what we need to do better. So, of course, they want lots of deregulation, meaning they'd probably be fine with having Trump. But I just want to remind Mr. Zaslav and others the way that this works in a country like Russia, because you said we'd be no different from that. The Kremlin has said that Vladimir Kara-Murza is, quote, stable in a Russian prison hospital, but we're not even sure that that's true. A Russian playwright and theater director was sentenced to prison for writing a play that Putin didn't like. And Russia has issued an arrest warrant for Yulia Navalny, who is the widow of Alexei Navalny, who they killed or allowed to die in a gulag. That's how it goes, right? If suddenly they don't like, Donald Trump doesn't like what David Zaslav has on his networks, he goes from being somebody who gets juicy deregulation and tax cuts to somebody who's kind of living like the Navalnys.
So they're comparing the United States to Russia. This is where we at right now. This is fear mongering. They're trying to make you scared. If you don't think how we think, you're evil. If you don't think how we think, you're going to hell. You're not a good person. These people, man, I wish these people would just go start their own country somewhere. Just go.
Yeah, but it's way beyond that because he could say, well, I'm not a dissident. But Putin's state is a kleptocracy, as to various degrees, most authoritarian states are, they thrive on corruption. And by 2018, 1 out of 6 of every 6 Russian business person, if their business was like prospering, the state would come after it to either seize its assets or make money because they would, find they would fabricate some tax charge. Crime and so they prey on businesses. And it's the same in Erdogan's Turkey, where the state has plundered and seized assets worth over $40 billion since the 2016 coup attempt. And so authoritarianism is not good for business.
Donald Trump emerged from playing golf, it would seem, to give a totally unhinged performance at a rally in Florida last night.
I'm also officially challenging Cricket Joe to an 18-hole golf match right here. We don't eat bacon anymore, right? No more. Did anyone ever see the lovely movie Silence of the Lambs? Did you see it? Did you ever hear of Hannibal Lecter? He was a lovely man. He would love to have you for dinner. I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. Yes, oh yes, and quickly, says President Trump. Yes, oh yes.
You see how they cut that up? You see how they cut that up? And I got family. I got people. They sit here and watch this stuff all day. They sit here and watch this propaganda. The man that sit there, Trump sit there and talk for an hour, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours straight. But they only cut out what they want you to see. They're not showing you how the man is going to get us out of these wars that Joe Biden's got us in. Get us out of this inflation. Closing the border. Giving money to HBCUs, black colleges, black schools. Building the middle class up. No. Gas prices, food prices. When I go to the store these days, go to the Walmart, the Food Lions, all these grocery stores, Costco, the same items is 20 to 30% more. Instead of me going and spending $50, now I'm spending $85. For people that don't have money like that, that is not good.
Ooh, and yet, even after that particularly incoherent speech, no Republicans are calling it disturbing or problematic or disqualifying for their presumptive presidential nominee. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party meltdown over President Biden continues apace.
You damn right.
I just think this race is on a trajectory that is very worrisome. I think that we could lose the whole thing.
Right now, we're on a path to losing. And when your strategy isn't working, you can't just double down on the strategy.
Oh, Joy Reid don't want to hear that. Look at her. Look at her. She don't want to hear that. I think I'm going to make that my thumbnail. She don't want to hear that. Oh, they're not towing the party lines anymore.
It's gotten so bad that James Carville, the Democratic strategist largely credited with "It's the economy, stupid" in Bill Clinton's successful 1992 campaign, is now proposing in an op-ed that not millions, but literally 2 Democrats should.
And Joy Reid, how you make all this money? And you got a 2 sticking up the middle of your face. I'm wrong. Let me stop.
Choose a new nominee, writing that with less than 120 days to go before the election, Democrats should throw some cool town halls, forget all those delegates and the 16 million primary voters, and just recruit former presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton to select Biden's replacement. You know, kind of like Simon Cowell and Randy Jackson on American Idol back in the day. What's up, dog? No Paula? Joining me now is Alencia Johnson, senior advisor for the 2020 Biden-Harris campaign, and Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project and host of the Enemies List podcast. Alencia, now we're in silly season. I don't think people understand that there are actually rules in the Democratic Party, and that the way you choose the election is that is not that way. You just don't throw like a American Idol contest and then have two people pick. But let me just go ahead and play what more James Carville had to say. Here's James Carville. I would think he would know this.
I'm just telling you, it's inevitable. He will come to the conclusion. People will get the message to him. He will understand. His family will understand. They'll pray on it and they'll make the right decision. I'm just trying to stimulate what we're doing right now, to have a conversation about the future.
Is this, in your view, Alencia, the smartest way to have a conversation and stimulate a conversation about the future?
Listen, I think we have a lot that Democrats need to be talking about right now, the existential crisis on the other side, which you led into the segment with. And I also think it's frustrating for voters to feel as though their concerns haven't been heard. And a lot of the ways in which we're having this infighting publicly is making both sides dig their heels in and double down. And we look just as crazy as the other side, quite frankly. And it's disengaging voters who, quite frankly, one thing that we're not talking about, young voters, black voters, a lot of voters who already had concerns showing up in the polls in 2024. And so I think Democrats, the elites, the ones that are on cable news talking all the time, actually need to think about the issues and think about what it is that voters want and have an open conversation with them about their frustrations. A lot of their frustrations were before the debates. I think those just exacerbated them. But how do we have both of those conversations at the same time and stop berating one another and then becoming a reality show like the other side?
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Let me play Chuck Schumer. Here's Chuck Schumer's new quotes from today. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read it. I apologize. My bad. I'm going to read it. Chuck Schumer is privately signaling to donors that he's open to a Democratic presidential ticket that isn't led by President Biden. Schumer's been listening to donors' ideas, and suggestions about the best way forward for the party, according to three people familiar with the with what the Senate leader has said. Hakeem Jeffries, who is the upcoming leader in the House, the minority leader, here's what he said: we're having conversations with ourselves. It's a family discussion. That's important. We're a separate and co-equal branch of government. We have the right and the responsibility on behalf of the people we represent to have their conversations with ourselves on the best forward, what's interesting to the American people. And that's all we're doing right now, which is a change from what he had said before. Rick Wilson, we got George Clooney saying Biden's got to go. And then, he's like, he wasn't as up to speed as he used to be. And I know that there were some issues Amal Clooney had on her Gaza stuff that's happening. You got Hollywood moguls of all kinds jumping in and saying things. Op-ed writers have fun ideas. What strikes me about this that is weird.
Listen, it ain't nothing weird. It's over for Biden. It's over. The man can't speak. He can't walk. He needs to quit. It's over.
Is that when Richard Nixon, who was a crook, was driven out of the party in the 1970s, he was given more dignity by his party. Barry Goldwater went to him. It came out afterwards that he had gone to him privately and said, we want to spare you the indignity of an impeachment. You need to step down before that happens. A deal was cut in advance for him to be pardoned by Gerald Ford. He was given more dignity than Democrats are giving their own sitting president, who's done nothing much for them except give them like a giant infrastructure bill, paid off a bunch of people's student loans, which is life-changing for people, giving them $35 insulin to run on. So it's not like he's not giving them anything to run on, and he's not the one benefiting from that. That's supposed to benefit them. But all they needed was the Cook Political Report to come out and redo their ranking.
He didn't pay off everybody's student loans, first off. And insulin is not $30. I don't know how much it is. It ain't no $30.
For all these districts, and they're like, destroy him publicly. I mean, if they want him to go, isn't there a more dignified way for Democrats to maybe behave than to publicly humiliate him?
Joy, this is an example of the difference in the two parties that, as a former Republican, I can tell you, if Donald Trump tomorrow said, I'm a cannibal, I love to eat live babies, I barbecue them at Mar-a-Lago every day, every single Republican would go, well, yes, it's the new fashionable meat. This is what we should all be doing. They would get in lockstep. Here's why they have a political powerhouse, in that unity and that loyalty, is they understand that this is a race that matters. If Democrats think right now they're going to have some Baroque, bizarro world, candidate switch, flip-flop, they're overlooking two things. Joe Biden had 14 million Democratic voters come out and vote for him in the primary this year. He
Allegedly.
has all the delegates at the convention. It's not my job to tell Joe Biden what to do. It's my job, and it should be everyone's job in the Democratic Party right now to turn their fire on the one person who will destroy them and the country, Donald Trump.
No, Joe Biden is currently destroying the country. He's destroying the world. We're in multiple wars. We have millions of immigrants coming across the country. Nobody can afford a house. Inflation is crazy. Gas prices are still over $3. Like, what are we talking about here? Who did a better job? Trump. No new wars. Gas prices were low. Food was low. Food was low. Interest rates were low. I can go buy. I could have went. I wish I would have bought a house 4 years ago. God doggone. I wish I would have bought a house 4 or 5 years ago. I'd be winning right now. Like, these people need to stop. The propaganda needs to stop. Black people, stop voting for these people. Like, subscribe, share, man. I'm done with this.